प्रोग्राम का अगला सैगमेंट तुहानू दसन जा रहे हैं साडे जिहड़े सीनियर्स दे मिनिस्टर ने प्रोविंशियल ऑनरेबल लिंडा जैफरी उन्होंने एक इकट्ठ रखा जिस जानकारी दी कि गवर्नमेंट हुण फाइनली नोटिस लैन जा रही है। वो भी अगर इन्होंने नोटिस लैन की कोशिश की कोई आई वॉश ना होवे अपना एम्पलॉयमेंट एजेंसीज़ के बारे कि एम्पलॉयमेंट एजेंसियाँ राइट्स नहीं दसदियाँ टैंपररी वर्कर्स नूं उन्हां दे और टैंपररी वर्कर्स नूं मिसयूज़ करदियां ने। शोर मीडिया स्पैशली साडा मीडिया बहुत देर तो पा रहा और दसन की कोशिश कर रहा। फाइनली इत्थे कोई गलबात शुरू हुई है। लेट्स सी हाउ इट वर्क्स आउट बट डू सी दिस सेगमेंट एंड आई होप द गवर्नमेंट फाइनली डिसाइड्स टू डू समथिंग अबाउट इट क्योंकि वाकई बड़ा धक्का कर रही हैं एम्पलॉयमेंट एजेंसीज़।
Over the years, Minister Jeffrey has served in a variety of positions, including Parliamentary Assistant to the Ministers of Children and Youth Services, Democratic Renewal, Intergovernment Affairs, Citizenship and Immigration, and Transportation. Welcome, Minister.
You look like a great crowd. I'm sorry I kept you waiting. Dima, thank you for that kind introduction. I appreciate it. And it is an honor to be here among so many professionals that are here to help our residents settle and integrate into Canadian society. And I want to thank my old friend Ahmed for being here and allowing me to be here with you. I know how long you've worked for our community, so thank you for being my host. I want to thank your staff as well. I don't know all your staff now, but I hope I get to meet them afterwards. I know that they've been helping for the last 25 years to help newcomers settle in Peel Region and beyond. I know that some of your graduates have gone far beyond these walls of the region of Peel, so that's a great thing. And you've taught them how to become self-sufficient, so congratulations and thank you. And I want to congratulate Debbie Douglas from the Ontario Council of Agencies Serving Immigrants for her valuable work. I want to thank Access for facilitating job recruitment in Ontario. And most importantly, I want to thank everyone else here, all of you, our new arrivals, for choosing Canada and for choosing to settle in Ontario. As a daughter of immigrants myself who came here from Ireland many years ago, I know it's a brave step to uproot your family and to move to a strange new world, adjusting to new foods and new language, new customs, and of course, new friends and a new job. None of that is easy. It takes time to be part and to feel part of your new home. And often that first step of feeling like you're in a new home and that you've transitioned is a job. Temporary employment has become increasingly important in Ontario's workforce and a vital part of our economy. We know that 735,000 people in Ontario work in temporary jobs. Temporary help agencies aren't a new phenomenon. I was once, myself, someone who worked for a temporary help agency, and I know firsthand that it's a challenging way to make ends meet. It's very unpredictable employment. So I understand that these agencies provide an important service, not only for our newcomers, but for the economy of Ontario. So it just makes good economic sense to make sure that temporary help agencies understand their obligations under the Employment Standards Act and that vulnerable workers are protected. 3 years ago, our government passed legislation to ensure that temporary help agencies had their employees, that they were being treated fairly. While I was out knocking on doors last summer during the election, I heard loud and clear that there were still problems. So, and I'm pretty sure Deepika heard it, and I'm pretty sure Harinder heard it. I know my other colleagues in Peel heard the same concerns expressed. My colleagues in Peel and I talked about this issue, and we, I think, decided there and then during the election that we were going to do something if we were returned to Queen's Park. Because I heard from my residents, they felt that they were being ripped off. They felt that they weren't being paid properly or paid the hours that they had worked. So, as I said, we decided upon our return to Queen's Park that we would do something about it to restore fairness and to protect those vulnerable workers that have to work for a temporary help agency. So I'm here this afternoon with my colleagues to keep that promise. I'm here today to announce that the Ministry of Labour is launching a 3-month-long summer blitz to inspect temporary help agencies across Ontario. Our inspectors are going to be checking employers for compliance with the Employment Standards Act to make sure that their employees' rights are protected. Our inspectors are going to make sure that all provincial standards are being followed. That includes the hours of work, overtime pay, holiday pay, and other employment or wage issues. This blitz is the first of its kind to encourage compliance with our employment standards law. I want to make sure that everybody understands that most employment agencies are complying with the Act. They provide a vital service, and they treat their employees with respect. The reason for the blitz is to catch those bad apples. Those are the ones we're after. Temporary help agencies that would take advantage of a newcomer who might be misinformed about their rights, someone who may not know the language well enough to ask questions, or somebody who's simply afraid to step forward and blow the whistle on their employer. To all workers in every sector, especially our vulnerable workers, I want you to know you have the right to ask questions. Your privacy is protected under law, and so is your job. We're here to help, no matter who you are, no matter where you work. To demonstrate how serious we are about answering your questions today, we've brought a couple of experienced employment standards officers. They're here with me in attendance today to answer your questions. And I know that we're being joined by a number of the media, and I would ask for your assistance as the media to help Ontarians understand, no matter how they get their news, whether it's through the papers, through the radio, wherever you find that news source, we want you to help share the message that I'm bringing today. I want them to know that our Ministry of Labour website and the Ministry of Labour Employment Standards Information Centre, the 1-800 number that we have that we will share with you today, that we want you to pass that message along, because we want to know that you've passed on the message that workers need to know their rights. We want you to understand our laws and your rights, and that's why we offer it in 23 different languages. We want to help you with any concerns, any complaints. As we launch this blitz today, I want to say to those employers, you have a responsibility to know Ontario's employment standards laws. Make sure you follow the rules and the regulations to protect both you and your employees. To the students and the job seekers in the room, I admire you. I admire your determination to grab a piece of the Canadian dream, to learn a new language, to apply your skills to a new job, and that means a lot to us in Ontario because we need you. We need your talent, your experience to help move Ontario forward together. As you settle into your new jobs, you'll be providing your families and Ontario a better life, a stronger economy. And you know, in Ontario, our strongest resource is our people. It's you. It's our people who are bright and skilled and hardworking. It's people like you that are making Ontario the greatest province in the greatest country in the world. It's our pleasure to welcome you here, and it's our duty to protect your rights. So together we're going to build an even better Ontario for you and for your children and for future generations of Canadian workers. Thank you.
Not hear about the job security. What is the length of temporary help you really classify as?
You know, today I'm here to talk about getting into an agency and making sure people are paid properly. I'm not focusing on the contract that people have. I'm making sure that the contract is fair and that people are paid for the work that they do. Obviously, if a company or a temporary help agency is not paying people properly, not doing their vacation pay or paying overtime the way they're supposed to, that's what I'm trying to clarify. So certainly, we will get into the details, but this blitz is about finding the bad apples, the ones that aren't paying people that I heard about over the summer. People were going to work, working for 2 weeks and not getting paid. They were being charged for resume writing. They were being charged for services that they should not have been charged for, and they weren't being compensated for a full day's work. So I'm not getting into how long the contracts are. I'm making sure people are being paid fair.
But you realize that for months and months, even years, people stay on these temporary job situation and they never get a job security.
Our job is to make sure you're paid properly and fairly for a day's work. What you're talking about is permanent work, and each employer has a choice of what kind of employee that they have. I can't dictate that they will provide full-time jobs. All I can do is make sure that someone who is hired from a temporary help agency is treated fairly and compensated for a good day's work.
But is it 3 months that you ought to hire somebody permanently after? Is the government has any policy, or
No.
government is still lacking in that area?
I think what we're trying to do is make sure that anybody who uses temporary help employment agencies as an employer understands they have rights and that they can complain, and that they shouldn't, even if they don't have the language skills, think that they don't have powers to force an employer to follow the rules. So we have rules in Canada that people have to follow to make sure that people are paid and that they are trained properly, that they receive the kinds of information they need to keep themselves safe on a job, because obviously workplace safety is important. If you work in the manufacturing sector, you don't want to get injured on the job. So this is about making sure people have the information up front, whether you're a temporary help employee here or you're an agency, you need to make sure that you have that knowledge going in.
But in the absence of these agencies, the employer was forced to hire them permanently after 10 weeks or 12 weeks, which now is not the case. So they really don't have to hire somebody permanent because the government is not willing to look into it.
I think you know that temporary help agencies are a phenomenon that have been around for decades. As I said in my speech, I myself was a temporary employment agency worker. I worked in an office for months at a time on different contracts because each business has a different need. Some businesses need you for a couple of weeks, some people need you for months, some people may need you longer. At the end of the day, we're making sure that you're being treated fairly, you're being compensated fairly, and that you know your rights.
But temporary agencies do the dirty work for the big corporations, and that's an open secret. Like if the union made a contract that the temporary employee has to work 6 weeks, and after that he or she would be hired, they would let him go before 6 weeks and replaced by another employer. Are there any laws checking on that, or who do they voice their concerns to?
We have employment standards officers here today because I'm serious about making sure that temporary help employees know their rights and that they can share that information with us. If the employer is being dishonest with the agency, we're going to find out about it. We're going to be learning about.
That's been an open secret for years.
Again, the legislation is only 2 years old right now, and this is the first time we've ever done a blitz on it. We're going to spend the next 3 months determining the scope of the problem, because right now what I hear is anecdotal. I heard it over the course of the summer. My colleagues in Peel heard at the doors that people were not being paid properly, that they were being asked to pay for resume preparation and job interview preparation. That's not reasonable. They shouldn't be charged for those costs. So we're going to make sure that the people here today know before they go out to apply for a job what their rights are, and we're going to make sure that we go into those temporary help agencies and make sure the employers know what their responsibilities are also.
Okay, thank you.